Greetings. Welcome to Soul Power Tennis. Check my sounds. So yeah, welcome everyone. Happy December the 11th, 2022. And I am Akmo Sari, and this is Soul Power Tennis. Soul Power. And we're here. And so we're doing the Unseen Face broadcast once again. And the reason why is because I'm in transition. I am relocating from one part of the country to another. And right now I'm in a middle ground space. And I'm excited to be exploring what tennis awaits out there in the world. And from tennis courts to different tennis centers to different cool information that we have planned to share. All of that is a part of it. So this broadcast is going to be short and sweet. And the reason why we're here today is to pay homage or homage to two individuals in particular. And that is Nick Bollettieri and Bud Collins. And who are these two human beings? Well, one, let's start with Nick Bollettieri. So Nick Bollettieri, originally from New York and eventually, made Florida his home. He pioneered the tennis boarding school, where tennis players, up and coming tennis players, where children go to live and get schooling and also work on their game as up and coming tennis players, ideally seeking to becoming professional tennis players. So he pioneered that tennis boarding school approach, and had his own tennis academy, very popular, world famous, and developed many leading tennis players such as Andre Agassi, Monica Seles, Mary Pierce, Jim Courier, and even worked with the Williams sisters, as well as the likes of Kaden Shikori and Nikova, so on and so forth. And this is an interesting tidbit and fact that he was the first white man or first Caucasian man inducted into the Black Tennis Hall of Fame. Now, we're going to be doing further research about that specific tidbit because I'm very, very curious and interested about that and why that's the case. And, just from me growing up, I always heard about Nick Bollettieri for his tennis academy and for the influence that he had brought to the sport in terms of developing so many players and so many tennis greats and so many players who would go on to become world number one and Grand Slam champions and all-time greats at that. So it was always like, man, if you want to go to like one of the top tennis academies, or if you want to deal with one of the top tennis coaches, or you want to deal with a tennis juggernaut, Nick Bollettieri was like always one of those top 3, top 5 names that I recall being mentioned. As a kid, when I first started getting into tennis at age 11, back in 1992, it's like I would always hear his name coming up, and you'd from time to time see some interviews and hear him talk and hear him speak about his methods and things of that sort. And so he passed away very recently, transitioned onward at the age of 91, and lived a full life and a full successful life, and don't know a great deal about the man as a person in terms of don't know him personally, but hear at Soul Power Tennis, which is where we're at, we want to focus in on his tennis contributions, and what he did to the sport. And so we just highlighted some of those accolades and some of those contributions to the sport. And we're forever grateful for what it is he contributed. And he left his mark. And he's an all time great and all time sports legend in particular, and all time Bollettieri family. Our condolences from the tennis world, but his legacy and what he created lives on forever. So thank you once again, Mr. Bollettieri. And now we're going to go to Bud Collins. So Bud Collins, in a similar vein, growing up, becoming a tennis fanatic, I would often see Bud Collins. I even saw him in person a time or two at the U.S. Open, and I'm trying to think if I ever met him. Ever meet Mr. Bud Collins? I'm not sure if I ever went up to him and shook his hand. I either saw him from afar or like a few feet away several times, and then maybe I may have like waved at him and said thank you for your great work, and he may have been like thank you or something like that. But he was just like one of those voices of the sport for me. An elder statesman who you can tell was very, very waxed in the ways of the sport and of the world, and was a historian of the game. And I just, recall him, just his look, that famous bow tie and those famous, different stylish pants that he would wear, and always with a suit jacket on. Well, not always, but often with a suit jacket on. But that bow tie and those pants, he was definitely, an eclectic character or eclectic personality, and presenter of the sport of tennis. And what I liked about him is that he would oftentimes kind of like focusing on these nuances, which is what we do here at Soul Power Tennis. He would focus in on these nuances of the sport that may not be spoken about as well, or put like a different spin on it. And that's why we're highlighting these two men in particular, is because of their contributions to the sport. And they definitely added their own particular flair and approach to it. So for Mr. Collins, he was a sports columnist and a journalist, from Ohio, and he made Massachusetts his home, and went to grad school in Massachusetts, and drove over 700 miles to get there. And he also served in the U.S. Army. He was in a fraternity, an Alpha. He was once a tennis coach in the late 50s and early 60s, and he began covering tennis for CBS in the late 60s and going into the early 70s, and then NBC Sports. And after his contract wasn't renewed after 35 plus years, he got picked up by ESPN and started covering all four Grand Slams. And so that's more so where I started to see him even more. I mean, I saw him, on different platforms, but once he got on ESPN and he was covering all four Grand Slams, that's when it was like, man, you really got an opportunity to like see his great work even more. Did some stuff on XM Radio for the U.S. Open. And in 1999, he received the nation's most prestigious sports writing honors award, the Red Smith Award, that was awarded by the Associated Press. The most interesting is that he popularized the term bagel. He didn't create it. There was a gentleman, I think, named Harold Solomon, who created the term bagel, if I'm correct. Let me just see something very, very quickly. Yeah, I was correct. So Mr. Harold Solomon created the term bagel, and Mr. Bud Collins popularized it. When somebody loses a tennis set 6-0, you'll often hear the term, man, they lost, or the score was 6-0 or 6-love. And if you want to be more, non-formal, you'll say they got whoever had zero, they got bageled. So six and a bagel, which means the zero is a circle, oval, and it has a hole in the center, very similar to a bagel itself that you eat. So Mr. Bud Collins popularized the term bagel. And then that went on, to become bageled and so on and so forth. So pretty cool tidbit, I think. And he actually played the sport as well. He won the indoor mixed doubles championship with Janet Hops back in the day, way, way back in the day. I'll let you do the research and find out the year. He was also an author and a co-author of a book with the great Rod Laver, one of tennis's all-time greats. It was entitled The Education of a Tennis Player. I should actually read that. He was elected into the Tennis Hall of Fame in 1994. And the U.S. Open Tennis Center is actually named after him. Well, not the U.S. Open Tennis Center. Let me see. Let me just check something real quick. And while I'm doing that, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell. And let me actually change this because the broadcast has already begun. So I apologize for still having that up there. Let me click this so you can know who made the music. Yes, music by DJ Zesto and the Compliment King. And boom. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell so that we can continue to grow this channel and do what it is we do here. The media center at the U.S. Open Tennis Center was named after Mr. Bud Collins. So the media center. So it's called the Bud Collins Media Center. And, upon his passing about 6 years ago, he just has been admired by his peers and, some of which were the all-time greats, that being Johnny Mack and Billie Jean King, and, them acknowledging his contribution and his breadth of knowledge and his flair with what it is he brought to the game. And so, I just, I would always, I like seeing him and, Dick and Bert next to each other, commentating these elder, sportsmen, just, going throughout like the history of sport and tennis. And I just, I really enjoyed, Mr. Collins' commentary and his approach. So he's definitely had a direct influence on me. And I'm just, thankful to his contributions to the sport. And so, although he passed away some years ago, condolences from the tennis world to his family, and from Soul Power Tennis to Mr. Collins. So, just giving thanks and acknowledgement and appreciation to the greats who have done their part in their own particular way to shape this sport and the game that we love so very, very much. It doesn't have to be a tennis player. It doesn't have to be, somebody who's swinging a racket. It can be a chair umpire. It could be, a lines person. It could be a journalist, a writer, a commentator. So all of those things is what makes a sport what it is, and these two men, Bud Collins and Nick Bollettieri, were also great ambassadors for the sport and the game of tennis. And so this is how the sport was able to grow throughout the years. And, Mr. Collins, started commentating on TV at large as the Open era was, being ushered in. So very, very key time. And, so these two juggernauts combined have shaped and influenced many players, many different dynamics or live dynamics of the game. And so we want to thank them very, very both. And just from me to you, from Soul Power Tennis, to from the entire tennis world, we want to say thank you very much for your contributions. and for you being you. And so that is it for this particular broadcast of Soul Power Tennis. I am Akmo Sari, and please make sure you again like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell, and stay tuned for what it is we have coming up in the coming days and strongs. And yeah, thank you for your patience and your support. And we're gonna go out the same way that we came in. And until next time, please make sure that you stay tuned and you stay in tune. See you soon. Peace and love. Soul Power Tennis.